Ever so often, when it comes to discussing Marvel media, you will have people ask this question: why is it that mutants are treated so poorly while all other superpowered beings are treated relatively well in the Marvel universe? And I always wonder, what's the confusion? Why do people ask this question? I feel like it's relatively straightforward and simple as to why mutants are treated so poorly. And it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but they deserve it. Mutants deserve to be treated poorly. They do not operate under the same levels and pretenses that other superpowered beings do. You just have to think about it for 5 seconds, and you would know it does make sense for every other civilian in the universe to be terrified of mutants. Mutants are dangerous. And this is why, even as a black person, I think that the mutants and X-Men are an abysmal allegory when it comes to racism. They do not match real life racism in any way, shape, or form. Real life racism is anti-intellectual. Real life racism is the most asinine and stupid thing you can believe. Because in real life, some people's skin has more melanin than other people's. All because the pigmentation of people's skin is slightly different and their hair texture is slightly different. That's real life racism. But mutant races in Marvel have genuine issues they have to face with mutants existing in the universe. Let's just look at what mutants are at their very base. Mutants are basically human beings with any manner of random abilities that can spontaneously come up at any point in their life. That is something to be scared of. We get to see a lot of the cool mutants and we get to see a lot of the heroes and all that, but think about it. You could have a person who lives in your neighborhood, goes to school with your children, works with your mother, your wife, your father, your husband, whatever, and all of a sudden they get stressed one day and activate the ability to blow up 15 city blocks. And now your family is dead because this random person hit puberty. Look at these clips. Look at Cyclops. He trips and his glasses fall off his face and he destroys a high school. Look at how much damage he did to the structure of this building. Imagine your child went to that school and this idiot tripped and he killed your kid. That's the real life they have to deal with. Mutant powers are so unpredictable, it makes sense to be scared of them. And the Mutant Registration Acts makes even more sense. You want to keep track of some shit like that. We can't just let that shit slide. So many mutants are in situations in which their powers are discovered by them hurting another person. Look at Rogue in the first X-Men film. She's just kissing a boy, her powers activate, and she almost fucking kills this kid. That's the level of danger you have to deal with. The family were perfectly fine with her being over, interacting with this boy, and now their son is dying. That's terrifying that can happen spontaneously. That is extremely worrisome. And yes, any superpowered being can have these same worries and same issues, but not on the same level. Often, other superpowered beings acquire their powers in a very specific way, and they have some level of control over their powers. You rarely see it just negatively impact the public. Mutants, on the other hand, unpredictable. You never know when that shit is gonna pop off and cause untold amounts of damage. And that's where the racism comes in. That's where it kind of makes sense. That's why it's such a bad allegory for real life racism, especially in the comics when Kitty Pryde uses slurs that exist in real life because another character calls her a mutie. Mutie is not a real slur. The writers were just bad at writing. You can't use real life slurs that people are subjected to in real life as a retort for your made up comic slur. Mutants aren't a real thing. Kitty Pryde called this guy the N-word with a hard R. What are we doing? We cannot be forgetting that one of the most insane feats that a mutant has done in comic books is commit genocide because she was under extreme stress and depression. Scarlet Witch said 3 words and a race was almost deleted. That's the level of issues you're dealing with when you're interacting with mutants. Imagine another mutant having that level of power and doing a similar thing and no one knowing why it happened. I just feel like there's so much to think about when it comes to mutants, and we cannot dismiss out of hand why the average person in the Marvel universe will have some level of bigotry towards those ticking time bombs. Thanks for watching. Behave yourself.